start.
So, hi, thank you, Shachar. Thanks everybody for coming here. Before I'll bring Meir on, just to make sure, we want to know who's in the audience. So raise your hands if you're entrepreneurs and you own a startup. Okay. Raise your hand if you wish to own a startup. Raise your hand if you are not from Israel. We have quite a few. And I just have to say that I'm really happy to see a good amount of women. This is not always what we experience at the event, so raise your hand if you're a woman. Woo! Amazing. Almost 50%. That's how it should be, right? Awesome. So guys, we're going to experience a very, very interesting story and insights today. So let's give it, like, you know, he used to perform on the biggest stages with the most, like, you know, exciting crowd. People even did tattoo of him and his band on their bodies. So come on, let's give him a big round of applause. Woo! Meir Yaniv. This is
Alan.
for you. This is for you. Welcome. Yeah. You can sit, yeah. You can sit here, whatever you wish.
I'll sit here.
Awesome. Meir, how are you
Thank
today?
Thank you for coming, everyone. I really appreciate it. It's very exciting.
Woo.
Thank you for having me, Lirone.
Thank you. It's very, very exciting for me as well to have you here with us. So tell us, how are you? What brought you here today?
Let me just put my phone on silence. Okay. I'm good. I'm excited. I'm very familiar with the microphone. So I tend to speak a lot. Just you can raise your hands if I go overboard on a question. But I'm very, very happy to be here. And the reason I'm doing this is because I went through a lot, you know, in the business world, and the effect of the business world on my personal life, and back and forth, and a lot of thoughts and conclusions. And if I can give anything that's going to help anyone achieve anything or improve in any shape, in any form, and have a stronger core to handle the roller coaster of an entrepreneur, then it's an incredible thing for me to do. So I'm here for you guys.
Amazing. So I'm going to give just a brief introduction about you. We're going to dive in to talk a bit about your experience, some insights. Then at the end, you could, of course, ask some questions. So just to make sure everybody knows who Meir Yaniv is. So he's a serial entrepreneur with about 2 decades of experience across various sectors. As a musician and recording artist by trade, he was signed by Universal Records, released 3 studio albums, and had multiple nationwide tours with the tour bus and all the charade in the US. His managers was actually the managers of Rihanna and Lady Gaga and others. He worked with Nickelback as well, and then he decided to utilize his creative abilities in business. He did business before and after. To 2020, he founded American Solar, which is a clean tech, fully remote company with the ambitious but achievable goal to innovate and accelerate the pace of covering the US with solar energy. They were able to grow in 150% each quarter, and he'll share a bit about his methodologies around that. Yeah, and you had your first company in 21, and I'll leave more to the question. So I would start with a question: which one is harder, to establish a startup, or being a musician with your band trying to break through the noise?
It's a tough question. Which one's harder? I think that I can say it this way: it's the entrepreneurial spirit and will and interest is the same in business as it's the same in music. If you have a song in you, if you have something to say, if you're an artist and you like to play and you want to share your music with the world, and it's real, then you can't not do it. It's just impossible. You don't really have a choice, and it's the same thing with the business. Once you get an idea, you put it on the paper, and it starts to go from an idea to forming how to get it done, and then from there to forming how to actually bring on the people and then the money, and then putting the business plan together, and the numbers start to make sense, and you can imagine it being, and you can see it in your mind and in your spirit, then the choice is gone. You can't stop if you have that bug in you, and you guys know what I'm talking about. So once you're in the train and you start doing it, then there are many challenges on both ends. In both situations, you have to invent, right, and then produce. It's very different in music, for example. Always compared to actors. I lived in LA for many years, for about 15 years. And there's always the comparison between a musician and an actor. Well, an actor gets lines and then they need to perform them. A musician needs to write the song and then perform it. So if they don't know how to write a hit, it's a problem. Same thing as an entrepreneur. If you can't come up with a good idea for business, or at least be inspired by one and then produce it, then you're stuck. The experience in the music business is a lot more cutthroat, because
no investors waiting for you.
Nobody's
at
waiting
their
for you.
50th floor's office.
No. There's no middle class in music. You can't be not really known and make a living. It's impossible. In business, you can have a small business and self-sustain and do well. And not every business and not every startup needs to end up with a massive exit, right? You can have a startup and then build a business that's you, and you can do well and do well for your family, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what you're left with, right? Your family, your home, your bank account, right? And the business is a way for you to express yourself. So I would say that the music business is tougher. But on the other hand, the business world is tougher on a different angle, because if you make money along the way, then even if the business doesn't achieve the end game, you can still self-sustain and do well. So different parts that are tough on both angles. I can't just point one, but they're both not easy.
But I like your explanation, and as you said, if musician doesn't do so well, then they can't live, they can't sustain themselves, whereas business or startup. So guys, you probably chose well. My next question to you, so you started your first business at 21. I knew you, we know each other for many years, so I remember when you did it, and you succeeded quite fast, I would say. And what are the main traits and factors that led the 21 you to build a company in a foreign country, in Oregon, USA, and get such achievements and fast?
I'll tell you the story, and I'll make it short, but that's how it happened. I was a struggling musician. I didn't have any, I was going to school for music as a student, and I was looking for a side hustle, right? What happened at that time, I was 21, so I'm 39 now. So when I was 21, just a couple of years before that, when I was 15, 16, the internet just started, for me at least. So I got on board right off the bat because of music. I just wanted to go on the Metallica website. That's all I cared about, right? So once I started exploring and finding music and bands and artists online, I got familiar with the internet. And 4 or 5 years after, I found myself in Los Angeles and looking to make a living, and I started buying work from home packages. You know these ones, right? Make a ton of money from home, right? Back then it was just TV infomercial. Remember, the internet didn't even have ads, or very little. So I bought a work from home package, and I bought a few of them. One was weight loss products, one was different things, and then one was how to advertise on the largest network in the world, the Yahoo network. And I learned how to run ads. And forward about 4 or 5 months after I made some money with that, I got a gig in Miami. And the investor in the band was an entrepreneur that was massive back in the day. His name is Alan Shine. And Alan Shine owned Results, which was the largest privately held telemarketing company in the US. And he loved me. He loved me. He was a Jewish person, and I was Israeli, and we collided, and he loved my spirit, and and we talked business a lot, aside from the music side. And once the band kind of crumbled, he offered me to work with him, and I did, and I learned telemarketing from the guru of the gurus, literally him, his son, and me in a room, and I had the massive privilege of being there. He had about 2,400 telemarketers in 3 shifts. I was doing all the telemarketing for Chase, for Bank of America. And he spotted my talent to be able to write scripts and to convey emotion into a client. And he put me in a very, very special role of writing all the scripts for all these big banks. And I was able to see technology back in the day and understand it. And once I kind of fulfilled my mission there, I started connecting the dots, and I was thinking to myself, okay, online advertisement, telemarketing, who can we call and offer advertisement? And it made sense to call real estate agents. So we did, because real estate agents have it's a small business. They have a credit card in their pocket. They can make a decision, and we did. And remember the first day, we called Terry Eisner. I remember the client. And Terry Eisner said, what about this key phrase? What about this search word? What about this search word? And on the phone, and she's just telling us, and it's like, how much all of them? And we're like, $750 a month. Like, it was a lot of money, right, for us. It's 20 years ago, for kids, right? And she took them all. And we started the business day one with a $750 residual base. Bear in mind, I was living in Miami at that time, and my 1-bedroom apartment cost me $350. So suddenly I was making good money. And from there, we just added another person. The truth is how did we do it? I guess God brought me there, and I was just wired right. I was ambitious. I wasn't scared. Sorry, I'll take it back. I was scared, but I was able to handle the fear. And once I put the numbers on a piece of paper, I couldn't go back to work, because I was like, I gotta do this. There's no way I can't do this. Like, this makes, I can't go and work for an hourly wage. So from there, I just had a backwind, right place, right time, and we grew drastically. We got all the way up to about 300 employees within 3 years.
So that was LinkTech?
LinkTech.
LinkTech, yeah. So
old school.
Old school. And throughout those 3 years, at some point you branched out to actually put more emphasis on your band.
Yes,
yeah.
I was.
Kind of parallel.
Yes, yeah. This is actually one of the first times in my life that I'm a CEO, and honestly, I think I'm a much better entrepreneur than a CEO. I'm a strong CEO, but I think that my creative skills as an entrepreneur are I feel more comfortable in that spot. And with LinkTech, I had a massive. At that time, I wanted to be in music. So after about a year and a half, I put a CEO instead of me, and he did a much better job.
And pursued your dream.
And I went back to Los Angeles, and I used to fly in and out, and I went back to playing music.
And I want to take us to a specific point in time, a specific story that, on the one hand, articulates or brought all your sales experience and the ability to influence and convince. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you lived in LA, you performed at the Viper Room, which I don't know if you know, this is one of the biggest, most famous clubs in LA. And you had your single CDs in your pocket, you were pitching to managers and producers. And one time you met this manager and you got him to come visit you at your house and convinced him that he should invest or sign you. So please share this story. So what did you do? How did you do it? And we can learn a lot about it from you, I'm sure. Yeah.
Thank you. So, yes, I'm gonna before I get into the story, I'll say a couple of things that are important for entrepreneurs, from this story, and then we'll get into it if that's okay. There's nothing. Oh, I'll take even a step further back. A musician is an entrepreneur. You got ideas, you want to put them into place, you want to get to the radio, you want to get to places, you got to go push it. Same thing as an entrepreneur. You have a business, if it's a deli, if it's a tech company, if it's anything, it's a car manufacturer, you want to build cars, it doesn't matter what it is. You're going to go through a lot, we all go, right, through a lot of nauseousness. Right? A lot of situations when you need to get up and do something about it, right? A lot of moments, right? There are many moments like that. There are moments like that in the morning, right? When you get up in the morning and you're not sure, right? But you get up and you start doing it, right? And there are other moments that are more unique, right? Like the moment that you're talking about, which I'll explain. But it doesn't happen in those moments. It happens when in the other moments, when you're used to feeling the fear and you know how to understand, okay, I'm scared, okay, I'm concerned, okay, this is a risk. That doesn't change my actions. This is an important skill, is to be able to feel, but also be able to ignore the emotion, because it's an emotion that holds you down as opposed to an emotion that pushes you forward. And it's very, very natural. This particular moment is a moment that came after a lot of emotions like that. We were literally hitting the pavement. So imagine 4 Israelis, right, want to be rock stars in the US. Imagining big stages. And we were hitting the pavement, just like any other entrepreneur. So printing out CDs. We used to split up. 2 guys are on these streets, 2 guys are on these streets, just handing out records, handing out CDs. We used to print CDs and have our next show flyer on the back of the CD. So you would have CDs for every show. And we'd hand them out with like 4 songs, right? People would be able to get the CD, look at, listen to it in the car. Back in the day, it was CDs in the car. I guess some of you guys remember that. And come to the show. So we were hitting the pavement hard. We had 2 shifts. In the morning, we were handing out CDs. In the evening, we were sitting down and adding people on MySpace. You guys know anybody here knows MySpace? Remember MySpace?
Yeah.
It's kick ass. It wasn't bad. So we were literally adding people on MySpace and 2 shifts, like machines, rehearsal 4 times a week, like booking shows. Just literally 4 Israelis landed in LA. Within 8 months, we got signed with Universal Records because we were pushy, right? We're also an okay band at that point, right? But we were good enough to get signed. And when I had met Kent Jacobs and Russ Reagan, which became our managers, they came to see us at a Viper room. I guess one of us handed them CDs, and they showed up. And we quickly realized that it's them. They were Russ Reagan, unfortunately, he's the late Russ Reagan. He passed away last year. But Russ Reagan was the biggest record man in history. He sold over 1 billion records. He signed Elton John and Neil Diamond. He worked with everybody from Zeppelin to Lady Gaga, right? So massive, massive executive. And how did we do it? It was that nauseous moment, right? I saw them, and I wanted to puke. So I got on my legs and I went to them. That was it, right? And my hands were shaking, my legs were shaking. I was not a hero, but I was determined. And I looked at them in the eyes and said, "We have to do this. You guys have to hear me out, right? We have to talk about this." And they liked the music enough to show, to come to my house. I invited them to my place, and it was just me. It was just myself. I always try to be authentic, because if I'm authentic and you like me, or if I'm authentic and you're inspired by me, or if I'm authentic and you want to do something together, then it's real. then I don't need to make a lot of effort. And if I'm authentic, if you're and you don't want to do something with me, I guess that's what should happen. And that's how I did it, I guess. Are my answers too long, or is this?
No, it's okay. It's great, and I think really like the takeaway that we can take from here is, on the one hand, as you said, there is always like it's natural to feel those nauseous feelings or to be scared, but then again, to go out there to say what you want to say, or what you need to say to get them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's my next question to you was that you had several tours in the U.S. And one hand, I think if you can give us a glimpse of how is it to be a real rock star, like you had your own bus and traveled around, but more so, how again being a musician helps you today. Again, when you form different companies, now you have American Solar. So, how this time? What is the main takeaway that you take from this time in your life to today as an entrepreneur? Yeah.
It's actually a great question. It's a really good question because a musician on the road in the US is like an entrepreneur every day for real, and I'll explain. First of all, how is it? Well, I'll explain to you 24 hours. That's just how it is.
And it's just,
I'm saying I'll take 24 hours and explain them in the day real quick, but it's kind of the same over and over again. As opposed to so I know that there's a few Americans here, so I guess what I'm talking about, and the Israelis know that artists there, but when you're an artist in Israel and you finish the show, you come back home, get up in the morning, takes the kids to school, and go to the grocery store, right? In the U.S., when you're on tour, you become the musician. You become the rock star. If we were rock stars, and it becomes real. And the reason for that is because you get out there, you're on a bus, right? So it's a big bus, right? It's almost the size of this, the length of this room. Bunk beds, all your bandmates, your roadies, tour manager. In the back of the bus, there's another massive trailer with all the equipment, and you're just literally going through the whole U.S. for months, right? 2 months, 3 months. And it becomes you. Why? Because you get up in the morning, which is 2 o'clock, right? 2 p.m. and you're wrecked from the night before, right? Because you performed, it was a lot. And then you go to the gym because you need to take a shower, right? There's no shower on the bus, so you go to the gym, you take a shower, you work out. You come back for sound check around 4 p.m. and around 5 p.m., 6 p.m. you start pitching, right? You're in a new city. The program director of the radio station usually comes to the show, and you need to pitch them, right? You need to pitch them. You need to get them excited about the band. You need to talk about to the people that are important in the city about the band. You need to pitch. You need to push. You need to talk about the dreams. You need to talk about your vision. You talk about your sound. You need to talk about why you have something to say. You need to talk about why you're doing it. Why? Because having a good song is not gonna cut it. You need them to spin you on the radio. So every location, you have to win the location. You have to win the business people in the business music.
Startups. Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
Every investor.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. It's like pitching VCs.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to New York, you're hitting all the new, right? You go to Tel Aviv, you're hitting it's the same thing. So you hit the pavement again, right? You finish that, go to the bus, relax for a couple hours, and you get your show. So you do the show's done. You get off the stage and you're working, right? You're talking to fans. You're sitting in front of behind the booth, right? Now you're signing and you're taking pictures and you're working hard. It's not serious, right? And in the back of your mind is how many do we sell? How many records? How many records? How many records? How many can we sign? And you do crazy, cool things to help it out, right? Like for example, we used to walk around with iPads and get people's information, and then it would text them, right? Because of the tech, I could do all these things and text the people. People would get a text because they signed up on our iPads, and then with a text, they now can come back and claim a poster, right? That we would sign and that they can hang it up in the in the room. That's how we got people's information by handing out, 50-cent, posters that then they'd put on their wall and their friends would come in. So we were thinking about marketing all the time, thinking about ideas.
And what is the main thing you took from this time for today as an entrepreneur CEO?
I think the thing that I can take from it the most is two things. First, I'm comfortable getting punched in the face. I'm comfortable getting punched. I don't like it. I don't like it, but I can handle it. As a musician, you get punched a lot, right? You know why? Because you suck. You suck. At the end of the day, once you start, once you're on, on a record label like a Universal, and then they start putting you on the radio, on the rock radio, a song before you is Bohemian Rhapsody, and a song after you is a Foo Fighter hit, right? Good luck. Have a good time, right? And it takes time to become good. So all the way across, you're getting punched in the face until until you sound like the big bands. So this type of tolerance is something that an entrepreneur needs. Why? Because when we start, we suck. We suck at it, and then we become strong at it. We become good at it, and then we become experts at it, right? And then you get to talk to Lirone Glikman. But the point is that the ability to endure the failure is something that I got a lot from the music business. And then the second thing is, like I had mentioned, landing in a spot and then making everybody a fan. And I'm not just talking about the listeners. I'm talking about the listeners and the important people in the crowd that came to see you to investigate if this is something that they should be a part of. They should start spinning you and pushing you up and up in the chain. You got to win them over. And it's just like a client. It's just like an investor. It's just like an employee, right? It's just like a C-level that you want to recruit. Same thing. Same thing. So these are the two things that I can say.
That's definitely important traits that any entrepreneur needs in order to move forward. Now I want to move more to your so by now you have your own business methodologies, you've had many and different ventures in your life, and what you did in the last year and even before that, so you had basically a fully remote business in a hyper growth scale mode. So I have two questions about that. One is how to recruit hundreds of employees in a short time and manage them remotely. He never met them. And the second question, which I can repeat again, is how to scale in the pandemic and grow 150% each quarter. So employees, remote management of employees,
Sure.
And how to scale.
Sure. I have a very specific methodology for it. It's super simple, yet it's tedious. Interview a lot. Literally. Just interview a lot. I know it sounds funny, right? But how many of you guys ever interviewed people for a position? Right? You got a few, right? Good. So when you guys interview for, when you ladies and gentlemen interview for positions, how does it usually go, right? Well, interviewing is not easy. It's tiring, right? It's you gotta be there. A person comes in, right? Makes an effort. You gotta sit down, be focused, investigate if this makes sense, right? Person comes in, you're like, yeah, no shot. Now you gotta sit here for a half hour. Person comes in, sounds great, but they're not very into it. It's like almost like dating, right? In a way, right? So the number one most important fundamental thing for me for hypergrowth is mass interviews. Because what do? We interview 5-6 people, and we find somebody that's awesome, and then we hire them. My methodology is at least 20 to 1. 20 interviews for 1 hire. I don't care if I found the best person on earth. On 3, I'm interviewing 20. Why? Because when you interview 20 people for a job, you're gonna find somebody that's out of this world. Somebody that is much more suited and has much more potential than what you think that you can find. Moreover, As you go through the interview process, you're going to understand on the 10th, 12th, 15th person that all your preconceived thoughts about what you need for this position are false. That what you need is something completely different, because when you're interviewing somebody for a position, you're learning so much from the crowd that comes to get interviewed. So much. And you can ask questions and learn from them as you're interviewing them. And it becomes kind of like, not really an interview. It's kind of like, now I'm learning. Now I'm asking you, how did you do? You work there? How did you work there? How did you do that? What are the methodologies that, you know, if we're talking about solar? How did it work in Sunrun? How did it work with SunPower? How do they do this? Hold on, so you guys were selling remote. Okay, and how does that go? And what are the sit rates on remote? And what are the closing rates? So now I'm learning from 20 different people that worked in how many companies, right, about this. This is the key to scale, because the most important thing about a business is the talent that you hire. And when you have the ability and the patience and the responsibility and the audacity to go and interview 20 people, you're going to find someone who's going to blow your mind. And once you can learn how to craft, you know, to master that, then you need more and more recruiters. I would have businesses that are not that large back in the day, and I would have 3, 4 recruiters. We were interviewing face-to-face 20, 25 people a day, even if I didn't have room to have somebody sit anywhere in the office. We would be full, and we would be interviewing face-to-face 100 people minimum per week. Why? Because if you have the most talented people, then your businesses will just explode. Yeah. And that's, you know, my fundamental thing. You asked me about hypergrowth in the pandemic and remote. Well, I have actually a cool story with you know, about that. My friend Daniel Topaz, which is right here, is kind of my friend slash brother slash family slash partner. And you know, just before the pandemic, he told me, why do you need all these big offices? And you know, you moved to Israel, you gotta adapt. You gotta bring people remote. And I told him, what the hell are you talking about? You don't know nothing. I've been doing this my whole life, right? A little cocky. And he told me, you can do this remote. I told him, it's not. You gotta have the vibe, the look, the vibe, the people, the energy, right? In the office, the speeches, you need that.
The facade, yeah.
Yeah, the facade. The facade, right? The offices, the ice cream, this, right? And he told me, no, you don't. And I didn't agree with him. I thought he's out of his mind. And then the pandemic hit. And I remember what he told me. So I tried it. And I can tell you that I absolutely love it. And I have my C levels and my you know, my top level right next to me, but 95% of the business is remote. Why does it work so well? Because when somebody is remote, they know that they are judged by the results. They know it. Yeah. There's nothing to hide. And it helps productivity for me in a massive way. How do we do it technically? It's all about bottlenecks. This is an important concept. I'll give you an example. We can have, let's talk about solar, for example. So we have about 30 people that design the solar. Do we have to have me here? It's like, I'm just kidding. I just saw myself here. I'm like, I'm here.
Who is this guy?
I'm just kidding. So we have about 25, 30 designers that design the panels for each home. It's a custom-made plan, right? With, you know, the KW that you're going to produce and the money that they're going to save. You know, a lot about that. It's a technical job. So how do you get 30 people to do it well remotely? You don't. You get 3 people that can QA to death. So you program it this way. So now you got 20 people creating designs, and then you have 3 really strong people that are watching the designs and say, no, fix this, goes back to the person. No, fix that, goes back to the person. So we built technology that has rejects. real simple, right? You create it, goes down to the QA, gets rejected, goes back up. And now the person understands what they did wrong. They get it, they get hit once, twice, 3 times, they get better. Same thing with sales. So now I can watch a sale, right, because it's been done remotely, and I can kick it back, say, hey, you missed out here, you gotta get improved here. The QA is the QA and bottlenecks. These are the most important tools in remote scale. So find the important parameters for each different position that you guys employ people for, and understand what needs to be what those parameters need to be in your perspective. And you're gonna get better at it. Once you understand that now you're creating red lines, this is where it needs to be. So now you don't even need to QA unless something comes up, right? So these are very important things. AI, very important tools like Gong out there, a beautiful Israeli startup that you can use now to understand what's happening on closes, right, on the phones and telemarketing. Programmers, QA, you guys know how it works, right? With programming, it's all about QA, right? And that's why it works so well remotely. Yeah. These are my pillars for that.
So these were the factors that help you grow so fast. Now, there was another thing, and I'll also talk specifically on the solar industry. Cracking the sale, as I like to call it, finding the proof of concept of how to sell, it's never easy. And many companies try in many ways and get design partners to really understand how and to whom to sell in the best way. And it took you time, and then you cracked it for American Solar. And I would like to know more, what did you do, and especially how did you do it in the US market with homeowners, audience? So what's your methodology or story in cracking the sale and finding the way to scale?
Okay, good. Also very good question. This is a very important question. Sales is everything. With no sale, there is no business. If you don't know how to sell your product, there is no business. That's the bottom line. And if you know how to sell, then the product is really, the product is the inspiration of the sale, right? Because if you don't know how to present it, then there's nothing there, right? Now, I've been selling solar for 1.5 years. I sell solar today completely different than the way I sold it a month ago, or 3 months ago, or 7 months ago. None of the different technique. I'm talking about from the inside out, and I'll explain. The way that I crack a sale is I literally sit just like this.
Sit down.
I sit down, really, for hours and for weeks sometimes. And I connect to my emotions. And I imagine what is so good about my product, and I sell to myself. I talk to myself. I say, but this and that, and then I object, and I come back and forth. I call it the diamonds. היהלומים במוצר. The diamonds in the product. Now, I sold advertisement for about 16 years. And I can tell you that every year my pitch was completely different because I found another diamond in my own product, an old product, right? It can be, it was SEO, and it was content, and it was so many different products. But at the end of the day, it's advertisement. And the same product gave me new inspiration and new diamonds again and again to talk about with the clients. And how do I find it? I think about it. I imagine it, and I'm thinking about it from different perspectives. And now I'm saying things, and I say a line, and I say a concept that I never thought about. I'm like, that's a crazy concept about the same product. And then I go and I change the pitch for that product. And I'll give a small example. Solar, you guys know, right? Panels on top of the roof, sun hits the panels create energy, right? Electricity that comes out of your socket, you use it. What's the pitch in the US? Very simple. The solar is now financed, the actual system is financed for 25 years, So now I have a set bill. My bill used to be $200 for my electric bill. Now I'm paying $170 for my solar finance. So far so good, makes sense? So I'm saving a little money in cash flow, but the price stays the same at $170 for the next 25 years. And then it drops because you don't have a payment anymore. As electricity prices are gonna go up by 5-7% every year. So from 200 in 25 years, I would have had paid, I will be paying basically about $350, $400 in 25 years. So now I'm paying $170 all the way across, and then it drops. So many ways to attack this pitch. About 3 months ago, I'm pitching myself again on the pitch, and I love the product, and I'm digging in by myself in my mind, and I'm thinking how to excite a person, right? The first person I'm trying to excite is me, because if I'm excited about it and if I buy it, then somebody else, then I can be. My emotion is gonna captivate the conversation, whether it's on the phone or if it's on Zoom or if it's face to face, and I'm gonna win. Because I'm passionate about it, I would buy it, right? So I'm thinking and I'm thinking and I'm thinking, and I started obsessing about the end. I'm like, it drops, right? It then stops, and then I don't have any payment. Then I thought about the pension, right? How does a person that's now in pension, right? I'm 40 years old. I bought a solar system right now, an energy system for my house. In 25 years, I don't have a payment anymore. I'm 65. If I didn't buy this, the solar machine, the solar system, the energy solar system. When I say solar system, I know we're talking about something else. I never found the right way to say it, but roll with me. So if I didn't buy it, then in 25 years, I'm going to have a $400 net bill every month, or not. What difference does that make for somebody who's on a pension? An American that's on pension, or an Israeli for that matter, right? That now has $400 US net every month in addition in their bank account. That's a life-changing thing. It's an important thing. People work for 10, 15 years out of their life in the US pension just to receive $400 when they go on pension. It's worth 10 years of work when we're talking about pension times. By the way, this is live. I just came up with this. I just said it to you guys. It's worth 10 years of labor, right? And I'm fixing it right now. I'm doing this with you right now. I've never said that. So this is what I do in my mind. So now I'm going to go back to my team right after this. I'm going to tell them it's worth 10 labor years of someone's life for pension. So now I'm locking in the person deeper and deeper to the point that they can't not do it. So this is how I crack a sale. I feel it. I get deep into it.
Or the pain.
Yes, however that is.
Yeah.
But I do it with myself, on myself, with people on people, and I get really authentic about it. I get real about it.
So that's a very, as you said, very good point to think more. Always kind of what I took from your answer is that the pitch always evolves and it always changes, and it's good not to, as you said, you don't want to be bored by your pitch. I also own a business, and it gave me some points to think. How can I excite myself more when I sell as well? I want to ask you, because you had you founded a lot of small companies or different companies, and you have your own methodology of trying to test them fast, fail, or continue.
Yes.
What can you share with us here about how to know when should we keep on going with our business, or when is the time to say thank you and move on to the next venture?
Okay, very good question. It's actually two questions. Because you're asking first about testing, right? And how to get into a business, and then you're asking when to stop a business. Two different things. So how to get to a business? I have my own methodology. It's my style. I've opened up many businesses in my life, and I failed a lot, right? I failed a lot. and my first and every time I failed, the time it took me to fail was shorter, right? Because if I realized that in my first failure, listen, I had a massive godly blessing in my first business that I started and I won. You know what I mean? You know, I nothing to take from it. You know, I don't even know how, right? But it happened to me. But then, about 7 years after, was my first failure. And when I got into it, I invested about 1.5 years to go to market. I developed and made it perfect and made the best brand and brought investors and went nuts. And then I went to market and I crashed in a week. Okay, I realized I got nothing. And I realized that I just spent 1.5 years out of my life and people's money and my money on nothing. So the next time I started a business, I said, okay, I'll go to market faster and then faster. And at the end, when I formed American Solar, I started about 5 startups in that year. Okay? Completely different industries, completely different brands. And how do I do it? Very simple. I go to market. I don't wait. This is Israeli style, right? This is very Israeli style. I don't wait till I have an amazing product. I'll give you an example. This is how I do it, literally step by step. I get into an industry that I want to be a part of. I come up with a name, a company name. In an hour, 2 hours, right? I come up with a company name, best one I can find. I look online, I go to GoDaddy, I see if I can find a good name that's free. I book it, I buy it. I have a buddy that's my designer. I've been working with him for years. I tell him, listen, bro, 30 minutes, give me a logo. That's the logo. Okay, you got it, no problem. I go, I search, I find websites that are strong in the industry. I tell them, listen, take this website, duplicate it, change everything, I'll give you verbiage. Change the verbiage, bam, a day after, I got a website, I got a Facebook page, I got a brand, I got a name, and then I sit down. These are things that I know how to do it some of the things I do by myself with my hands, like building an ad, coming up with content, coming up with the pitch, right? For the Facebook ad, for any ad. Yeah. I build the ad, I go on Waymark.com, right, which is a beautiful company that does awesome videos for advertisement. I go on many others. I buy stock images, whatever that is. Really simple. But then I have this sit down with myself about the pitch. What do I say? What are the values of the product? I get into it, and then I put an ad up. Now, guys, I got nothing. I just want to know if there's someone out there. Right? Before I go now and build the whole world and now go talk to every VC in the world and embarrass myself a lot of times, right? For what? Let me see if the clients are interested. Let me see if there's a market. And how much response do I get? I put it out there. I get response. Treat the client respectfully. Tell, hey, awesome, thank you so much. You're on our waiting list. We're in beta mode. We're going to contact you in a couple of months when we're ready to hit your marketplace, right? When you're in your state. Find an excuse to not pursue, but open up the client. Now, you feel like you hit a special spot, take the next step. Take the next step. Now, you put it out there and there's, crickets, move on. That's how I do it. It's a very, very unique style. Not many people do it this way. I've never met, anyone that does it this way, but I really recommend it. Because before you fall in love with your initial idea, see if there's a client there, right? Because for me, a product is not this, right? People would say, this is a product, right? For me, it's not a product. For me, this becomes a product of mine if I know how to produce it and I know how to sell it. If I don't know how to sell it and there is no market for it, then it's not a product, okay? It's something that I have that nobody wants. A product needs to have a client base, client needs to have legs. A product needs to have clients, a product needs to have legs, a product needs to have people that are interested in it. And you can know right off the bat, especially the innovative people between, here. You got a crazy idea that doesn't exist in the world, go get a video guy or a video girl, right? And create the video that you see, how you see the vision at the end. Go make that happen, right? Go make that happen and make that product in a video, just like it's gonna be right at the end, and put it out there and see if people want it. Before now you go spend 3 years out of your life building it to understand that you're running into a wall. This is, by the way, doesn't mean that this is how it should be. This is just how I do it. So whoever this makes sense to, if you're in the middle of a startup, I'll just say one more sentence about this. If you're in the middle of building your amazing product and you're programming it, or you got a team, or you raise money and you're in the middle, go to market. Not because you want to kill the product, but because maybe if the people don't respond, you can change the product within the ad, within the video, and make changes on the product that you can make in reality, but change them on the perspective of the person watching the advertisement. And see if you hit, because that's going to point you in the right direction. The ship is not heavy now, right? It's not a big ship that you don't need to move and pivot. You can pivot on the ads real quick and understand the end user perspective and the client perspective before you go and kill yourself on the way up.
So everything you said in the last few answers was really about learning from the people you interview, learning from your clients, learning from your own thoughts, and that's obviously such a great attitude towards business. My next question, and you briefly touched upon it, that it's really hard to keep balance, right? When you own a startup, when you own a business, all the sleepless nights, the fears, the highs, the lows, the excitement, the breaking down. What are your ways of finding the strength to deal with those hard times, even the highs and the lows?
I'm not gonna say it. Great question though. But how do you do it? Listen, how many of you guys experience sleepless nights about your startup? Tough. That's tough. It's tough. It's amazing and it's tough, right? It's tough. It's grown-up stuff, right? Not a joke. I'm sure some of you guys have kids, some of you guys have a family. Some of you guys don't. Some of you guys have responsibilities. Some of you guys have people that you support. Some of you guys have people that you don't want to disappoint. It's hard. It's a hard emotion. The way I deal with it is, first of all, I got a lot of scars on me already. I'm very, very scarred with all types of experiences. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. So I can tell you the best of the best that I can give you guys, all of you, for this particular thing. What happens in the business and the results of the business have nothing to do with you. The up and the down. Now you're going to say, what are you talking about? I built the business, Let me say something. I'll give you an example. Let's say you get a car, right? You win a car, right? You win, let's go with a Mercedes. You win a Mercedes. I don't know, maybe you guys don't like Mercedes, but let's just say you win a Mercedes. It's a sedan. Okay? Now, you're going to ask yourself, I'm going to ask you, and each person can answer in your heart, or you want to say it. What color do you want the car to be? What color do you want?
Blue.
Blue.
Metallic.
Huh?
Blue.
Metallic blue, right? What car do you like?
White.
White. You?
Black.
Black. Mommy? Black. All right. That's my wife. That's why I'm allowed to say mommy.
My car is arrived.
My car just arrived.
Good one.
Now, did we have freedom of choice here? Did we have freedom of choice here? Did you have freedom of choice? Yeah? Yeah? You chose, right? You didn't. And I'll explain to you why. You're already wired. Can you drive a yellow car? Yes. No, I'm saying. Yeah, would you be able to buy a yellow car and drive it?
If you come
I'm saying as opposed. No, I'm asking as opposed to the blue one. There's no shot. I prefer the blue one, right? Now everybody's got their own perspective, right? Somebody can say, okay, black is too chachi for me. Black is my style. White is too shallow. Yellow is too noisy. Red is my passion. Everybody's already. If I took you back 1 billion times, 10 seconds ago, you would say the same colors again and again. Now let's put this concept aside for a sec. The second thing, ideas. Who here experienced an idea that they came up with and they were able to succeed with it in some level? Right? Some of us, right? You did, right? Yeah. Can you do it again? Yeah. Can you come up with a new idea? Do it right now. A new business. Go ahead. New business that you'll succeed. Can you do it? No. No. Right? Why?
Because it's too short of a time to decide.
Regardless.
Give her a few more minutes.
I can give her an hour, right? I can give her a year. She can come up with an idea, and then the startup doesn't succeed.
Everything is possible.
Everything's possible. You're right. But if I want to move this cup from here to here and I put it back, can I do it again? I can do it again. No problem. Again and again. Ideas are not good ideas, right? Good ideas for businesses that will succeed are not 100% in your control. They're not. You can come up with an idea that you're passionate about that's going to take you into a wall, God forbid. But it's possible. You can get an idea and you become a billionaire. What? Does that mean that you're that great? If you have an idea that now is a great idea, and you were born in a tough family that made you tough, and you got nothing to lose because you got no money, and you're ambitious because you were born ambitious, and now you have a good idea, you're gonna make it. Now should we clap for you? Well, great. No. We're vessels. We're already pre-wired in a certain way, and if we get the right idea with the right personality, then we can win. Now the person that wins and now is feeling that they won, that they did it, that it's because of them that is there, that person, when they fail, they're going to crash. Because they're going to say, that's me. I'm a failure. I suck. I'm not good enough. Or am I? Or maybe I am. And then you got to get out of that slump. Run away from the emotion of a winner or a loser. Connect to your potential. And what is the potential? The potential is what I'm good at, what I'm connected to, who I am. Being true to the ideas that come out of you. Be authentic. Be real with yourself. Be transparent. Okay? Be in the moment. And let whatever your instincts come from inside, make it into a reality. And keep taking it out there. It's gonna take you in the most authentic path that you're supposed to be in. Now, when things go south, it has nothing to do with you. Yeah, you can learn from the mistakes, make conclusions, and grow from them. That's for sure. That's a part of your journey, though. You can make conclusions and fail again. You can make conclusions and now, boom, you win. We had built a company that grew from 0 to 230 employees in a year. Odd, right? Very odd. I am not going to take it on myself. I resist to take the win and say, I got nothing. I failed 10 times before it. And I can crash tomorrow. And if I crash, God forbid, it's not me, right? I'm just staying true to myself, true to my potential. So no matter what happens around me, and the stress and the issues and the challenges, I try to separate my potential and myself from the results of the business. When I am able to do that, I'm able to maneuver freely and think more freely. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like when I fail, I'm resilient as if when I'm winning. But the differences are not so edgy and so dangerous to the point that I can get hurt and now wreck my internal emotions and my belief system in myself. to the point that I won't be able to actually get back up there and actually do it again. So avoid taking ownership of your wins and avoid taking ownership of your losses. This is my best advice that I can give for a more balanced and more spiritual and more calm and more free thinking approach for a long term. Yes, please.
I just wanted to say that you before you mentioned about you try to work out what the jewel of your product. You say that
Yes, the diamonds.
the diamonds. Yes, I love that because I think, of course, you have to learn that. But I think the diamond that we have to learn first is our inner diamond.
100%.
Because once we know our inner diamond, we know our strengths. Once we're working in our strengths, things open up and flow. And I'm always that inner diamond, there are no limits to it. The products are limited. You know, they can fail, the fact will fail, but our inner diamond is infinite.
100%. 100%. And it's like we had mentioned, it's a vessel, right? Because if you're going to be in tune with yourself, crazy ideas are going to come up and you'll be able to express yourself in this world and get to the destination that you're supposed to get to. Pay attention. I'm not saying that that's going to take you to success. It's going to take you to success and it's going to take you to failures. Nobody just wins and nobody just loses. Do we do? I want to hear you about this question. Do we do questions now or do we continue?
I'll just say first of all that this is a very deep and I think mature and experienced answer from someone who has been there and done so much.
Thank you.
So yes, we will now move on to your questions, and then we have a small session for you. You know, we brought a rock star here, so he brought his guitar to jam just a bit for us, because you know we don't want to miss that opportunity.
I'll jam.
So yes, please, and your name as well. Yeah.
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Lirone. First of all, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was really inspired from your words. I wanted to ask you more about the last part, or maybe the last few questions. You mentioned that, first of all, how the way you detach yourself from the success or the failure of a business. And I believe that, or I wanted to ask, do you believe that balance in your personal life contributes to your ability to then balance your companies? So I'm talking about part of your life where more balance. This is the first part of the question. Mm-hmm. The second one, I felt real emotion when you spoke about when you come from a family like this, when you're hungry for money. I saw the hunger in your words. I saw this was very authentic to me. I felt that it's a bit your story.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, maybe. And I wanted to ask, do you believe that there is a way to teach hunger? To teach hunger to someone who is, you know, not necessarily coming from this atmosphere, who is coming from a lot, then teaching him also, because you cannot be hungry before you understand humility. Like, and maybe it's too big of a question, but refer to whatever you want. Once again, thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. I got carried away with the second question. Remind me the first one. I apologize.
I'm talking about the self-balance.
Self-balance. Okay, so let's first talk about the self-balance. Yeah, sure. So first of all, with self-balance, and my wife here is going to tell you that I'm just really not good at it. I'm really not good at it. You know that? She's here. Yeah, that's my wife. Yeah. I'm really.
She deserves it.
The truth is that I'm really bad at this. And I think and I believe that if you're strong in keeping a strong balance, I believe that it's a very valuable thing and it's very important to have a balance. And I can tell you that I paid and I still pay massive taxes and prices for that. And my wife does too, right? And my kids too. I mean,
Paying.
there's paying, right? I'm paying. There's a big sacrifice for that. For me, my challenge is that you guys know me now for an hour or so. You get the oddness in my spirit a little bit, right? I get very connected to what I do, and I can't stop. But it wrecks my body. It wrecks my body. It wrecks my ability to think straight. And then I crash, and then I have to rebuild myself again into the balance. It's actually my biggest Achilles heel. And I can tell you, not from good experience, but I can tell you from bad experience, that I think it's one of the most important things to do in the world. And I can tell you right now that I'm literally in a phase in my life that I'm learning how to do this better. And I think it's crucial. The second part.
Just a word about this. I think that, first of all, thank you for your answer. And I wanted to also add something small. I think that if you are able to balance your life in terms of prioritizing important things in your personal life, the direct implication of this is that you are then able to apply those to the business. And I found it just for myself without not having your experience.
No.
But just saying my best creativity comes from balance.
I need to learn from you on that.
I do. I'm not good at it, and I need to learn from that, and I'm sure that that's something that would make me a lot better at what I do. And I'm actually working on this right now.
I like your second question, and let's do it, please, also quickly.
I'll do this
for other
quickly.
people.
Quickly.
Can you teach hunger? Can someone?
I'll tell you something. I grew up in a lower middle class Israeli family. We weren't poor, so this maybe can help, because my hunger doesn't come from being poor, but the experience in my family, in my household, for the financial struggle was very, very real. Meaning, you have parents that that go through that have a lot of money and can talk about how difficult making money is in the house. It doesn't have to be necessarily connected to how much money they have. And you have people that that have no money and are just happy, right? And they don't and the kids don't experience the harshness of economics. I felt the harshness because of the way that my parents responded to their condition, not because it was that bad. So, but money. This is gonna sound like a ridiculous cliche, but it's so real. Money does not drive me. I want financial freedom, and I don't want to worry about money. So this is definitely a drive. But I don't have no inspiration. I don't have aspirations to hold, to eat food with 2 forks. I'm not that kind of person. But I just wanted to put that out there, and I'll finish real quick. Hunger is not the right thing to look for. The right thing to look for is my life. I got a certain amount of time. Everyone's got a clock, right? You got a life, and you got time. That's all you got. This is the resource that humans have, time. We don't have anything else but time. And because time is the only resource that we have to utilize that in order to explore and live our lives to the fullest. And I'm not talking about doing bungee jumping. I'm talking about actually living the path and the life that you're supposed to now live. And that comes from living intuitively and going with the emotions of what you want to do and making whatever you want, putting it out there, and step by step going into our reality. That should be the passion, because if a kid is supposed to become the best pianist in the world, then they have to start playing music, right? Or if you want to, and if you love sewing, then sew. Because you're not going to make more money in something that you like less than what you love to do the most. Because if you do what you're connected to the most, you'll be mega successful at it, because you will not want to stop doing it. And then you're going to have the first problem that you mentioned, but that's a different thing.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
I love the answer. Tal. Yeah.
Thank you, Meir. It was very inspiring.
Thank you.
From start to end. I love particularly what you said about sales. Coming from this world, I can very much relate to what you said. And I was fortunate enough to also work for a couple of successful startups, and every time, especially in the early stage, sales is also, besides generating revenue and success, is also generating a lot of information.
Right.
as a kind of as a pipeline for product and R&D. And user-based research, whether it's B2C or B2B, it's very important. My question to you as an entrepreneur, as a vision, who came up with a vision and an idea, how do you compromise when you meet a very clear feedback from prospects, from clients, that clearly contradicts your vision in terms of product, in terms of business, and you know, how do you handle that both personally and in the shape of your business?
Great. Let's go back to the diamonds. The product has diamonds, many diamonds. Let's take a product, this phone. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the diamonds here. Communication, right? Information, right? Reachability. Somebody wants to call me, right? I can learn something here, right? Information. I can just move something with it. I know it sounds stupid, but it's something that I can do with it. Literally, I can watch a video with it, right? This is a very good example because I can do many things with it. But this, right? I can drink water off of it. I can take this to my kids and make an art craft out of it, right? I can maybe make art with it, right? If I have many of them, I can make an art piece from it. This can be many different things, many different diamonds in very simple and very complex products. When you go to market, you fall in love with the diamonds that came out of you about your own product. And then you run into a reality that people tell you, hey, by the way, your diamonds are not diamonds, it's just rocks, I don't care about them. So the question is, what do they like about the product? What type of pain does the client have that your product can have or does have a diamond in it? I'll give you a short example. I was selling, I did a startup called Venue. And Venue was selling insurance and financing for people that want to get married. So now if I want to go get married, instead of paying everything up front, I go to the venue that I want to get married at, and then I make payments after, right? After I already got married. Now instead of taking all the cash and paying the ulam, right? Now I'm taking the cash and I'm taking the cash I got from my family, and I can put a down payment on a house. But my wedding is spread into payments for the next 15 years. It's, you know, it was a great idea, I think. And when I went out there and I started pitching the venue owners, they didn't care about that at all. They said, I need you. I understood from them that what they need is cash flow. And guess what? I found cash flow in my product. Why? Because I said, okay, if the person gets financed, right, then the venue can theoretically get the money right up front, right, even before the event. Why? Because it's insured. So I went back to the insurance company, went back to the banks, and I was able to take this particular value builder in my product and change the whole pitch. And we would come in to now the venue and say, hey, we're gonna fix your cash flow issues. Different pitch, completely different pitch, which was inspired by understanding that my diamonds that I thought are the diamonds are not diamonds, and what other diamonds I have in the product in order to accommodate.
What you said now is the best definition of business development that I heard in a while.
Wow.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks. One question. Yes, we have another last question, please. What is your name? Ronnie. Huh? Yes.
Hi, I'm Ronnie.
Hi, Ronnie.
Sorry for the English accent.
No, we like it.
I have two questions to ask you. Number one, I come from the world of consultants that actually solve with startups and existing companies. Conventional wisdom suggests that you're meant to work in the field that you're best at, but you alluded a few seconds ago yourself. Be passionate, get involved, what you're best at. What's happened to all that creative skill in music? And the glamour, the fame, the excitement, the adrenaline that once was in your life. Where has that gone in your life? Where have you channeled that to? And number two, have you considered using all those abilities that you have in business to help out the industry of music, which is badly in need of development, and so very ruthless and industry in general? Is there any way that you could use your skills back in that field to help others who went through similar stories like yourself?
Great question. Where is it? It's I'll explain. There was a point that we were touring all the time, right? And I wanted to have a family, and it was the family was more important to me than the tours. In order to be a dad, I saw fathers on tour, and they were not very good fathers. It was not to God forbid say something bad about anyone, but not the father I wanted to be. Right? There were absentee fathers. I remember one time we were on tour, we were somewhere in the south, and the bass player from the other band, his wife had a baby. Literally, just gave birth. So he flew out to see the baby and flew back in to continue the tour. Because you can't stop, right? This is how people make a living. I didn't want to do that. And I stopped, and I started, really investing my time into business. The music I miss it tremendously, and it's a pain. It's a big pain for me, and I actually really want to get back into it and produce and find myself again in the art space, because it's something I really miss. I try to treat the business in that fashion. I try to inspire people and talk to my employees and talk to my peers and get them passionate about life and passionate about spirituality and passionate about what they do, and I believe in them. And it's the same messages I would write in songs. So that's how I can kind of find, the connection. Your second question was real quick, sorry?
How can you use music, your business, to help the music industry?
Well, how can I help that? I thought about it a lot, right? About startups in the music business, and I couldn't find anything that I believe in, that I'm connected to from that perspective. And I can tell you another thing. I don't believe I really want to, because I love music and I love production so much. I love to touch sounds and start envisioning what it's going to be. I love the creative process of it so much. I still don't see myself as a person that now is, developing a funnel and code to monetize from the artist. Not that it's a bad thing; it's a great thing. But I don't have the. It would lose the special thing that I have for the arts. For me, if I'm touching art, I can't not be the artist. I can't not be the producer. If I go to a show, I watch a show, I'm imagining myself playing the drum, then playing this, and changing the sound a little bit, and I wish he said this, and I love this line. I'm becoming them. I can't be on the other side. So don't have that option.
Thank you, guys. First
Thank
of all,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
before we finish, Meir, as I told you, he performed at the Viper Room. So we brought the Viper Room with
Shut up!
sold out. And if you don't mind to give us just a few minutes of fun jam with your
Let's jam.
amazing
Thank you so much.
electric
Thank you,
guitar.
everyone.
Woo!
I hope this gave some of you guys something to take with, something to be stronger from the inside, something to, a few technical tools that that can help you. And I want to thank you for coming. Thank you. I'll play a little bit. I'll just jam.
Yeah, if you just want to connect it.
All right.
Thank you.